Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Russell Wilson's hurried deal with Steelers may say a lot about his intentions, and Pittsburgh's. When the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson publicized their divorce last week, speculation ran wild on where the aging 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback would land. The Las Vegas Raiders headlined a Yahoo Sports poll of quarterback agents and league executives' predictions. But the one quarterback agent, who overachieved and ranked 3 top guesses, waited to mention the Raiders until third. The agent slotted the Atlanta Falcons second. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, in what now seems prescient, ranked first. Obvious need and a playoff team, the agent texted 6 days before Wilson and the NFL tweeted apparent confirmations. This is his best shot to start and have a competitive team. Wilson seems to agree. Because by Sunday night, roughly 16 hours before the Steelers could legally submit a deal to the league, Wilson tweeted a video. The marriage is intriguing, with Wilson poised to compete with 2022 first-round draft pick Kenny Pickett and a likely third quarterback in the building. Veteran journeyman Mason Rudolph ended the 2023 season starting for Pittsburgh, but is scheduled to hit free agency. As interesting is the haste with which the Steelers moved to lock up Wilson. Sure, his $1.2 million veteran minimum salary is an attractive price tag. But Wilson has also found mixed reception in locker rooms and team offices, and his play declined enough to convince the Broncos, and mostly head coach Sean Payton, that $85 million in dead salary cap space is more palatable than calling upon the services the Broncos will be paying for. So why agree to a deal so quickly? It makes sense the Steelers would want to lock up a player they want, especially at Wilson's bargain bin price point, in order to plan the rest of their personnel moves and free agency strategy accordingly. Wilson, though, had more reason to wait. With money as no object, why not guarantee his greatest chance to start? Some executives and agents believed Wilson would wait until after the NFL draft to locate a team that needed him, especially in 2024. Find a team that didn't get the quarterback it sought or a team who did but knows the kid needs time, league voices reasoned. Look for a team with a young and suspect QB, an agent said. Wait for injury? Like all dust has to settle, an executive added. Then came another executive who set up a paradigm. In almost all cases, the sooner the better so he can get the system, reps, etc., the executive said. I'd feel decent that it's done quickly, if starting. If he's a backup, then all bets are off because there's not the same amount of urgency. Which brings us to what the Steelers may have revealed Sunday night. We should expect Wilson to be in legitimate contention to start for Pittsburgh in 2024. Expect him to start working with receivers Diontae Johnson and George Pickens, and to start learning first-year coordinator and former Falcons head coach Arthur Smith's scheme. Expect Wilson to have a meaningful chance to supplant Pickett, who completed 62% of pass attempts for 2,070 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in 12 games last season. And expect Wilson to get real snaps in off-season activities and training camp, whether or not Rudolph returns to the building. The Steelers seem to have better leverage to bring Rudolph back at a cheaper price now, if Rudolph wants to stay. Forget the criticism of Wilson, who by the way ranked 8th in passer rating and 9th in touchdowns, despite Payton benching him in December. Forget Steelers general manager Omar Khan's assertions at the NFL Scouting Combine last month that he has full faith in Kenny amid issues in the offense last year, an on-camera quote that seemed to levy blame at coach and playbook and assuage it from player. Only afterward did Khan offer up what might be the truest part of his statement. We'll have some strong competition there at quarterback, he said, and we'll see where it goes. It's not hard to envision one road the Steelers' quarterback competition could very likely travel. Waiting at the end, before long, is the coronation of Wilson. Russell Wilson set to sign with Pittsburgh Steelers after being informed of release by Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson has agreed to sign a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers when the new league year begins, NFL Network reported on Sunday. Pittsburgh will pay Wilson's minimum of $1.21 million, while the Denver Broncos pay the remainder of his $39 million salary. Wilson posted his intentions on X, formerly known as Twitter, saying, "Year 13. Grateful. At Steelers." The 35-year-old Wilson was 11-19 in 2 seasons with the Broncos after being acquired in a trade from Seattle. He bounced back from a dreadful 2022 season and threw 3,070 yards, 26 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions, but still lost his job to Jarrett Stidham after going 7-8 in coach Sean Payton's first season last year. Wilson led Seattle to 8 playoff appearances and a Super Bowl title in 10 seasons with the Seahawks. The Steelers lost a wild-card playoff game with Mason Rudolph as their starting quarterback. Rudolph went 3-0 after replacing Kenny Pickett, who was 7-5 before going down with an injury. Mitch Trubisky started the other 2 games and went 0-2. Pittsburgh are scheduled to play the Broncos in Denver this upcoming season, and the game could feature a return by Wilson. The NFL is expected to release its league schedule in May. Last week, the Broncos informed Wilson they would release him when the new league year begins Wednesday, but gave him permission to speak to other teams. "We thank Russell for his contributions and dedications to our team and community while wishing him the best as he continues his career," the team posted on its social media channels last week. "We are excited to improve this offseason and will have the flexibility to get better through the draft and free agency." After signing a nearly $250 million extension before playing it down in Denver, Wilson contended the Broncos had threatened to bench him for the final 9 games last season if he didn't push back his $37 million injury guarantee in his contract. Wilson declined to adjust his deal and started 7 more games before getting benched in what Payton insisted was a football move, not a financial one. Steelers send $36.7 million star to NFC rival in proposed trade. Trade rumors surrounding Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Diontae Johnson have begun to heat up. So much so that NFL writers have begun to suggest potential trade destinations this offseason for Johnson. Bleacher Report's Gary Davenport touted the Dallas Cowboys as a potential landing spot for Johnson. Getting Johnson's $15.8 million cap hit to fit on Dallas books, given their annual cap issues, would take a little doing, but extending the 27-year-old would solve that issue, wrote Davenport. With Dallas being awarded a pair of compensatory draft picks this week, the Cowboys have more draft capital with which to play let's make a deal. And if Jones is truly serious about going all in, the team might just meet the reported asking price of a day 2 pick to obtain Johnson. Davenport proposed the Cowboys send 2024 3rd and 7th round choices to the Steelers for the 27-year-old receiver. In addition to the Cowboys, though, Davenport also presented proposals where the Kansas City Chiefs, New York Giants, New York Jets, and Arizona Cardinals traded for Johnson. A 2021 Pro Bowler, Johnson missed 4 games because of a hamstring injury during the 2023 season. But in 13 contests, he still had 51 receptions, 717 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. Johnson trade rumblings first surfaced from TribLive.com's Mark Madden when he said on the February 19 episode of Breakfast with Ben's podcast that the Steelers could move on from the veteran receiver this offseason. The possibility reached nationwide media when Sportskeeda's Tony Pauline reported on March 3 that although Johnson wasn't on the trade block, the Steelers were willing to move the wideout for fair compensation. The Athletic's Diana Russini added fuel to that report on March 9. The Steelers are open to listening to trade offers on WR Diontae Johnson, Russini wrote on X, formerly Twitter. There is interest from teams around the league as GMs are getting set for free agency. The Cowboys could be one of those teams. While wideout CeeDee Lamb ranked 2nd in the NFL with 1,749 receiving yards, Dallas didn't have another receiver with more than 660 yards. Davenport also suggested the Cowboys could release wideout Michael Gallup to save cap space. Johnson has become a trade candidate within the last month because the 2024 season is the last year on his current contract. At the NFL Combine, Steelers general manager Omar Khan declined to discuss whether they have engaged Johnson in contract negotiations. The Athletic's Mark Kaboly suggested in an appearance on 93.7 The Fan's morning show on March 4 that Johnson may not be interested in returning to the Steelers. For what it's worth, on social media on March 3, Johnson essentially labeled his trade rumors just people talking. One could argue that the Steelers are proactively shopping Johnson. In the effort to get the best trade value in return, the team is presenting the idea that they don't have to deal the veteran receiver. However, there could be a deadline on a deal happening. Spotrac's Michael Giannitti tweeted on March 9 that Johnson is due a $3 million bonus on March 16. If traded, Johnson's new team will pay that bonus. That is, unless the deal happens after that date. In an effort to avoid paying that $3 million bonus, the Steelers will have to trade Johnson before March 16. Therefore, it appears highly likely that if the Steelers are going to trade Johnson, it will happen during the first business week of free agency. Should a trade not occur, then the likelihood that Johnson returns to Pittsburgh in 2024 increases. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation Diontae Johnson? Leave your opinion in the comments.